and then if you wanted to set a certain registration, or like if I wanted to set registration 13 to something, R13, let's see what here, equals divided, and then preset 6, preset 7, assign to that. Okay? And then if I want to display that registration, I can go 13 dot and display it. So then we got.
Oh, great. But okay, every time you just want to call up an instrument.
So then you just hit, you know, one of these buttons here. You can't see it right now, but basically there's 32. So to be able to get the top, to be able to get the top 16, you have to hit this key, and then that switches you up to the top bank of it. See? Anytime it says ready, it's in the edit mode. It's ready for setting up instruments. Display waveforms. Those are all the waveforms with each of the harmonic levels of each waveform, of each harmonic. And then, you know, your instruments. There's instrument 0, for instance.
Is there a disc somewhere here in the system?
Yeah, there's two 8-inch disc drives right there. There's no access to the discs once you've got the system and the instruments loaded in for one ensemble. You know, it's just like it's all in there ready to go live. There's 32 registrations, and there's 32 instruments to pick from for those registrations.
Can you layer?
Yeah. There's split. There's single mode, divided keyboard, and layered. So you can have, you know, all of that stuff. You can have
layers though, like the Duke Grade's got 2.
Well, I just left it as the one layer because I figured, you know, if you get down to 2 notes at once, it's not that useful. 4 is nice though. A layered, you know, 4 voices layered is nice because you're essentially getting, you know, like 2 hands playing the same thing. So that works out pretty good. But here's the oscillators. There's 2 oscillators per instrument, and they're both set up the same way with attack, peak, false, sustain, decay, number of the waveform that's assigned to it. And then this control thing is actually these things down there. These are switches, the things that can be on and off. The keyboard and the bend is on for that instrument.
So those numbers are what, 1 out of 100?
No, right now they're hexadecimal numbers. They're 0 to 255. FF, when you get to 10, instead of saying 10, which you'd have to carry to 1, you just go A, B, C, D, E, F. So you can get from 0 to 15 in one column. Right, so for instance, FF represents the biggest number you can represent, which is 15 times 16 plus 15. Like this F, you know, is the number of 16s there are in the number instead of the number of 10s there are in the number. So it just means you can represent a bigger number with 2 digits. You know, and it's also, it just happens to be the way the machine stores everything internally anyway. It's that way. I mean, I can ultimately have a decimal thing for it, but I kept it this way for right now. So if I wanted to turn the bend off on this instrument, I could go instrument 0, there you go, switch, bend. Okay, then a period will display it. So in other words, wherever it is, the switch will switch it the other way. So now the bend is off for that one. Now I'm still addressing instrument 0, so I can go switch bend, display. Now the bend is back on again.
Okay.
There's portamento, modulation, on or off, whether or not it's supposed to FM the next oscillator.
So if you take anything away, or you have to put it back for the patch to be as it.
Well, yeah, if you change something, that's the way it is. Except that you can load in, you know, you can load in your, save all your ensembles. Like sharp sign means there's this command coming up. So now I can go load. TOUR, tour is the name of my presets, right? So it's transforming all the waveforms up to 16 waveforms. Some of them are like kind of dense.
What real-time control do you have? Just the pitch bend reels?
The pitch bend, the modulation, the portamento, the sustain pedal, you know, just whatever was there. going to be some more real-time controls. These knobs aren't assigned yet. So, and now it's, you know, that whole thing is loaded in there again. Anytime you want to see what instruments you have, you just type a question mark, and it gives you the list of them. You can name any of the instruments. You can copy any of the instruments over into another space. So, like, I could go instrument 2, copy to
Oh, you copied
1F, right? And display that. So now 1F is whatever was in 2, brass, and everything gets copied over. Now if you list all your instruments, you know, you got brass down there.
That's
I don't think I'm on the air.
I was gonna ask.
Oh, what's happening is I'm not in the live place. Split. Split so that this doesn't affect anything that's happening up there, right? So split at this point, I think, right here.
You know, that's what's essentially wrong with a lot of machines like the Prophet and stuff, where you're modulating the whole thing and you may not want it on the board.
Right. All right. Also, for something like a piano, you need a slightly different sound in the bass and you have in the treble, you know, and you also need to be able to hit this and have it sustained while that one's independent from it. Because otherwise, if you hit this, it would rob these notes. When it ran out of notes up here, it would start to rob these. So if you do it this way,
that's great. Then you don't have to worry about it.
What's your limit per split? 6 or 4 voices per?
Yeah, 4 and 4.
Kind of like the Jupiter H in a way.
Yeah, it's a convenient scheme, you know. It's a, I mean, you could have had totally programmable split and all this other stuff, but most people can't remember, you know, if they have all these like little, everything's different. They can't remember what instrument is supposed to overlap at what point. So I just made it a split right there, and whatever instrument you assign to A is the left, and the right is B. Now, there's some other ones. There's a layered one, 7. So 7 is instrument 1 and 2. So that's, if I hit 7 up here, I get, well, let's just hit 1 first. You can hear that. Harpsichord.
Okay.
That's only 2 oscillators too, but so you have that's for 1, and then 2 is the brass. It's like a composite brass sound. Yeah. And then so 7 is a composition of those together. It doesn't have all the capabilities they have because they have more oscillators, you know, but...
They're confusing, though, the way you pick the 4 different...
Yeah. Well, it's not really programmable in that sense.
Yeah.
You know, you're stuck with what the cartridge is.
What about calling those up real quick, like in performance, like you have to do, you know what I mean? Say you want a layered sound, can you just call it up?
You have to have it all set up in the registration. You have to know what you're going to need.
Yeah.
You know,
so you just hit a certain number to change the entire preset?
Yeah, just hit one number. It just calls up the preset. You can only get, you got 0 through F, right? I mean, it's a little inconvenient, actually, because A through F is over here, right? The numbers are over here. So that's only like 16. To be able to get the upper bank, you hit this enter button, and then all of a sudden anything you pick, now you're switched up to the higher bank, 16. All right, so then you hit this again, and then you're back down to the lower bank.
Okay.
So that's the way I figured, like, you know, that way you actually have 32 online with pretty much just one key punch, you know. And then if you want the upper bank, then you have to go bap bap like that, right? So listen to this Fender Rhodes sound here, though. I gotta fix this. It's got a couple of pops in it.
How many harmonics did you that sound?
16 for. Oh no, that's an FM sound. That's a sine wave oscillator modulated by another oscillator that has two sine wave components. One at the.
Sort of phase in and out of
Well, it's the complicated waveform. Whatever the frequency is of the complicated waveform frequency modulates the other waveform to produce all these side bands.
Do you have a separate envelope for the tying sound? For the
It just comes in. It just when you use those harmonics, the fourth harmonic, you know, you control the amount of modulation depth, so that on the attack there's a lot of modulation depth, so it's slightly richer than it is when it dies down. It's like a little.
Yeah, real subtle.
It's almost like a filter. It's almost like opening up a filter. You can see what that instrument is really easily just by going instrument C, display. And you can see that, like, there's no pitch bend on it, so that, you know, this thing is not off or anything. This one is FMing that one, right? The FM is on. And they both respond to the release pedal. Okay, this one's FMing that one, so this one attacks at 90 and peaks at 90, so it just hits right smack at 90. Then it falls at a rate of 06 to a low sustained level of 30, see? And then here's the carrier, attacks at full force, peaks at full force, falls slower down to a slightly higher sustain, right? And there's a linear frequency offset on the first one too to give a slight beating effect.
Yeah.
It's very slight. It's just enough, you know, it's just enough to make it a little more interesting. Very, very light.
Why do they call it oscillator 0 and 1 instead of 1 and 2? Is that something you made up? Or
It's digital.
The digital there?
Yeah, it could be either way. I don't know.
Counting always starts at 0.
Okay.
I just try to make it pretty much consistent. The only thing that's not consistent with is the harmonics, because the harmonic 1 you want to be the fundamental, rather than having to make the mental arithmetic shift of every harmonic being one number off. So, for instance, if you want to display, if you look at this instrument, you see that, like, the number of the waveform is E, waveform E for this oscillator, and waveform 0 for that one. So we can go waveform 0, waveform
you had 6
E.
waveforms?
There's 16 waveforms to choose from for any ensemble. So we can display those two waveforms. You can see the first waveform is just the fundamental frequency at full volume. And then the second waveform is the fundamental, and then the 1, 2, 3, the fourth harmonic. And this is the one that modulates this one. It's like a complex wave modulating a simple wave, and it gives that. I got it out of Computer Music Journal.
You do these? You work on them yourself, or like Mark Styles or some of your?
I've been doing all of them so far. I mean, there's not many of them so far. We didn't have time to develop many voices. I just developed a handful of voices that I use in the show.
What was the one you did before, like the fuzz guitar?
There's a couple of those things. There's a saxophone thing.
Yeah, that's one that's hard to duplicate. I'd like to hear that. Yeah.
This is like heavy FM. So you start to get all these funny things happening, but they're great. Listen to them. It's like.
John Homer had a SEM hooked up to his Minimoog speakers and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that's just aliasing and digital noise and stuff. It's like overdriving the system, of course, to get that, but... That's a hell of a sound, isn't it? The variation on that is the harpsichord. It's a sharp attack, though. listen to what
Exactly.
happens. Listen to what happens to the harmonics.
That's layered.
No, that's not
That's
layered.
not even layered.
That's
Really?
just two oscillators.
I see.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, when
It's that same kind
when the
of.
modulation runs out, then the pure waveform
Yeah.
that was modulated before is not being modulated. So then you get the pure waveform.
It's like the overtone on the guitar.
Do you have modulation on there now, or you can do it either way? Yeah. That's exactly what I was talking about anyway. I see what you mean. Exactly, yeah.
So all that's there, like just for exploration. We haven't really,
great.
as I say, we haven't really done too much with it yet. And I'm working on some easier way of doing all this,
Yeah.
and also maybe like trying to add a graphics card or something to the system.
Like the GS, the Yamaha GS series where you split a thing and it comes out.
I don't know about that, I just all I know is what'll fit in this box and what'll work. There would be graphics. You could display your waveforms and all that.
Just like a bar.
Well, it'd be a graph, like an oscilloscope readout. Look like an oscilloscope readout, yeah. So anytime you're live, this thing tells you what registration and what your tuning is. The tuning is set in 1/16th of a semitone. So if you wanted to tune it, say a semitone flat, you would go tuning minus 1/0. 1/0 represents that 16 in hexadecimal.
Is that the one oscillator or the whole system, like the master?
That's everything. That's the
the
whole.
tune knob.
No, this is the whole thing.
It's more precise, but it takes you longer to bring
Well, it depends on, generally you don't want to change that too much during the show. I made it like, first I don't have anything else to change it with. You could change it with this, but I wanted to make it something that you couldn't get at actually. You wouldn't accidentally this thing, you can bump this and you don't know where you are anymore. With this, you're exactly there. Oh, sorry. There's another interesting feature here though. Okay, now we can go tuning.
You hear it change?
0. See, I don't know if it affects it. No, you got to go to the mode. You got to go back.
So
You can hear it.
that's 16 of the intervals going up the whole system.
Yeah, 16 steps. So it turns out to be about, just a few cents one way or the other. It makes it very handy for detuning it to some other instrument or to a track or something, Exactly.
Yeah.
Real exact. You can do that with any of the oscillators, of course, in the instruments.
So you get a built-in chorus ensemble. Right?
Yeah. So, for instance, the brass is a little like that.
Yeah.
The brass has an out-of-tune thing on the attack. You see exponential frequency offset is 1 on that,
Okay.
which means that you get that slight, detuning. Oops, sorry.
On 0.
Right on the attack.
But then that oscillator dies out, so.
So that offset thing is just a function of time. One is it doesn't last very long.
No, one is how much it is.
How
The
much?
reason that you don't hear it anymore is because that oscillator's envelope goes to 0.
Oh, what is it? 40 there?
Yeah, whatever it is, I can change it.
Yeah, I see.
We can go instrument 2 again, just display it. And we can see this one goes to 0, see, but I can say oscillator 1, sustain equals whatever it is in the other one, CO. Okay, then play it.
Stays constant then.
Right. Both oscillators stay on, see?
That's great.
And you can do things like, you can go oscillator 0, exponential equals, these are once again 16ths of a semitone. So 7/0 is 7 semitones, right? So that's like a 5th detuning.
Yeah, right.
So now you got...
I was wondering about it. Yeah, right.
So it takes a bit of literacy learning how to get to the language.
Well,
Well, you made your own.
it's my own language. But it's like any other. It's a different way of synthesizing sounds.
So
So
if you were going to make this for someone, you give them a software manual. Explain.
oh, sure. Yeah, it's all. Actually, what I want to do is I want to have like help menus built into the system,
Yeah.
so that it's all there. But it's pretty straightforward. There's only about on one sheet of paper I can give you all the commands. I mean, it's pretty straight. There's nothing is used to mean anything else. Like if you type a W it expects a number of a waveform that you're talking about. And then once you've typed W0, then anything you type like H1 equals, harmonic 1 equals, you know, H2 equals. Very straightforward. Oscillator 1, anything you want to address, you say I for instrument and then the number.
Okay.
Right, and then if you wanted to address this oscillator, you go O0, and then you could go A equals, attack equals. All the first letters that are up on the screen here, those are all the letters that you type to set the values in, right? So it's, you know, you can create instruments actually pretty quick because you can do multiple commands on the same line.
Yeah.
You know, like I could find a blank instrument, like 1E, actually 1F, let's do 1F. We go instrument 1F, which sets a pointer to that instrument's data, right? And then I can go, actually go kill, which will kill what was in there, display it, display the empty one, then oscillator 0, attack equals FF, peak equals FF, fall equals 1O, sustain equals CO, release equals 2O, and switch the keyboard on so we can play it, right? Okay, now display that, and then go to live mode. All right, so I did something wrong in here. Oh, I see. This is supposed to be decay. That one makes I got the wrong thing. Where's fall? No, it's decay is what I want. Decay equals what I have, 20. Decay equals 20. All right, now go to live mode. And see, it's not assigned to a registration though either, so we actually have to go back and say registration 1F equals single 1F. Okay, then go to live mode. Now, that's going to be waveform 0, so which is a pure sine wave.
Okay. And any commands you don't put in like the X, L, or F or any of that stuff, just...
Yeah, you just add any of it. Yeah, I mean, I could...
That's good.
Now what I could do is I could go in and say, okay, instrument 1F, display that again. Now we can make oscillator 1 a copy of the other oscillator. So A equals FF, P equals FF, fall equals 1O, sustain equals CO, and decay equals 2O. Okay, then we can go X equals, sorry, X equals O, sorry, I can't see what I'm doing here, O2, right, and then play that. Actually display it first, then play it. Now, there's no keyboard controlling it, so it's like reading phantom pitches. So you go back and you go oscillator 1, switch keyboard on.
That's great, man. That's really good.
Any time-saving device for just saying copy oscillator 0 to 1 and then edit?
No, because there's not enough data in there. You can copy instrument to instrument, but the oscillator stuff, I figured you wouldn't actually be doing that much identical copying. And it's only like, you know, 7 pieces of information. If you know what you're doing, you can just sit there and type away.
Yeah.
You know, you can make like both oscillators up in one stream, you know, and do it. I was thinking about a copy command, but I'm trying to keep the thing to some minimal
How long do you think
size.
it'll take before you get the graphs and the oscillator waveform?
That's going to take a while. You know, this is like,
So,
this thing will do it now, and it's still faster than a lot of digital systems that are out.
but if I, for instance, want to keep in touch with what you were doing, I
Oh, of course, yeah. Anybody who decides to get one of these things, will, you know, all the software will be available for them. You know, and I'm not going to charge a lot for it either.
Yeah. But even in the meantime, before someone buys one, is there any way to get a newsletter on your progress?
Well, yeah, you know, we're not looking to sell so many of them that I can't personally keep in touch with people.
Yeah.
You know, I would personally help anybody, just like I'm doing with the Apple thing.
And at this point, it consists of the 2 drives, a keyboard.
Well, it doesn't have to be 2 8-inch drives. Like, this is a more expensive computer than you really need. Like, all of this ended up costing close to 10 grand.
Yeah.
Because you don't need a keyboard that's this heavy and everything either. You know, we were figuring out scaling it down and trying to keep it like under, you know, 7 or 6.
Yeah, that's something I could afford. Sure.
You know, and then like all you need then are software updates.
Sure.
You know, the instrument just sits there forever. You know, the other thing is, it's possible to add another Kashiv card in there too and have 32 oscillators.
Wow.
And the system,
That would be nice.
the software loop will run fast enough to run 32. Because I was running, you can strap this to run 32 oscillators, but you don't get the same high sampling rate. You get like half the sampling rate. Okay, so that's like, it's okay for playing around at home or something.
Good ears, you don't want to...
But I don't want to be anywhere near the sound of the Alpha Centauri, you see.
Yeah, well, that's basically why I wanted to talk to you about.
Yeah, well, the waveform table's in here. See, the Alpha Centauri uses a waveform table that's only 256 bytes long. Whereas this uses a waveform table that's 4 times as long, plus every entry is 12 bits instead of 8 bits. So the resolution is just like it's professional audio. Which is like, you have to have it if you're going to do real synthesis.
What type of disk drives are those?
Those are just standard Shugart disk drives. There's nothing special at all about the computer.
So you conceivably can scale it down and perfect it to the point where 7,000 you could have a...
Oh yeah, we could have a deluxe system for that. The only thing that's, that costs, that's custom, is the keyboard. I mean, and that can be scaled down too. George did it.
Oh, the guy was here?
Yeah.
That's why he was so knowledgeable.
Yeah. Yeah, we tried to keep it all, we tried to keep the whole system just between the two of us so that, we know this thing inside and out from the last byte, down to the whole
That's
thing.
why you don't even need the screen here, really.
I don't even need it. Yeah. Well, all I'm doing is like hitting numbers anyway.
What's the post office box address? I can keep in touch with you.
The 320, box 328, I'll write it down for you.
Okay, well, thanks an awful lot.
Yeah, well, I had to, it's oriented now more towards the computer than it is the user.
Yeah.
But then again, from the stuff that I've seen out there, I can move around on this pretty quick. The real problem is getting enough waveform data to know what to do to begin with. You have all this power there, to like create all these waveforms and transform them and create all these different sounds, but it's a whole new environment. It's like it's just ripe for total experimentation. And there's a lot of sounds in there, that just need to be brought out.
People like Mark Stiles, Larry Fast, and see what they're doing?
Not Larry Fast. I haven't.
Doing what, the Bell Labs thing, mostly?
He didn't do much down there. He mostly...
We've got some very interesting string cellos there.
Yeah, well, that was on a $500,000 machine. Yeah, I introduced him to that situation.
Well, he lives real close to him.
Yeah, he did some work. He wasn't supposed to like put that stuff out on a record. Bell Labs has a strict policy against it. They were extremely miffed about all of that. Because I recorded stuff down there about a couple years before he got there. I premiered that machine in LA at the 50th anniversary of Talking Pictures.
Is there any recordings of that available? Or?
Not much, no. They shipped that machine out to Oberlin College.
Yeah.
But that's the basis for the Synergy. That's the same thing that's in the Synergy.
The GDS.
Yeah, the GDS.
I remember when you had your first Cosmic Furnace out, the people at the Boston School of Music said there were tapes available of other stuff. Was that what turned out to be the Air Pocket, or is that other material?
Some of it did, but a lot of it just is sitting in the old archives.
There's no way we can get a hold of it.
No, it's all packed up down in my basement somewhere,
Just wait till it comes out on a Utopia album.
It's not going to come out on a Utopia album, that's for sure. It's probably going to sit in the basement forever until somebody really wants to see it.
Network. Oh, it's Network. Are you coming under Network, or is that just Utopia?
Yeah, I don't have a solo deal. I can't get a solo record deal. I tried.
It's what, your cyber sound, or?
No, now it's Rhine Beat Research now. I moved to another spot. I'm just mostly working on the computer programming stuff, and I've got like a couple of other projects, this Microsoft project, some other software things coming out. Music business is not in good shape right now, so I'm trying to get myself into something that will see me through. Air Pocket was on Bearsville. So this thing just basically needs a lot more experimentation and more voicings. And it needs basically some more people to work with it and get, to start building libraries of voices. It needs like some kind of an exchange between other people, because I can only, I can't be developing voices when I'm trying to work on graphics software, and I mean all this stuff takes a lot of time to do,
How do you think that's going to come about? Just the users themselves forming some sort of co-op?
Well, it depends on if anybody is really interested in getting the machine,
I tried doing it with Roland, Open Rate programs, and no one seems to be interested.
Well, I'm talking about, a handful of instruments.
Yeah.
And obviously anybody who decides to go with this system is going to like want to, you know, be in contact with anybody else who has one, and it's not going to be it's not going to be a huge users list or something. I mean, everybody will know everybody else on a first name basis.
So you can just send a...
Yeah, oh, that's the nice thing about it. Yeah, it's all just, you know, it's just all standard IBM sector disk, CPM. It's like the whole operating system is the same that you'd use for an accounting system.
Yeah.
You know, I have on these disks, I have the whole operating system, all the microcode, everything is on there, and there's still like 200K left on the disk. There's more space left on the disk. There's more space left on the disk after I have everything on there than there is total on an Apple disk. There's over 200K is left still. So like if I want, I can just go right out to the operating system here. Just hit E for exit. Whoops, okay, now I'm there. I'm back, now I'm in CPM, do my directory of my disk. There's all the files on the disk.
Yeah.
You can do an expanded directory, it'll tell you like how long each file is.
So Tour is just one of all those?
Yeah, Tour is just ensemble. Somewhere in there, Tour ensemble.
I see.
And it's only 2K long. So you can get about 3,200 instruments on one of these disks.
Yeah.
I figured on a 5 1/4, you know, you can get less, but you know, it might be only like 1,000 or something. Huh?
You think you're going to stick with the 8 instead of scaling?
Well, it depends on what computer you want to buy, what you can afford. If you tend on doing any other work with the computer, I recommend the bigger disks.
Okay.
They're not that much more expensive, but they do take up more room, you know. And but you can get 600K on one side, which is like, and if you could get double density discs too for a couple $100 more, and you get like 1.5 meg on each disc. But it's overkill at the moment. It might not be later on when there's other utility programs. But I would think two 5 1/4s would probably handle you for a long time.
Have you thought of any sort of encompassing name for this whole system, or just...
The name for it? Yeah, Databoy.
Databoy.
The Databoy system.
So. Thanks a lot. I'm going to automatically fade you out here.
Okay.
Make it look professional.